Hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne Hume. I'm the Educational Director and founder of CleanEarthForKids.org. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we have our fantastic youth board and interns, along with very special guests, Shannon Britton from Seattle University, and our favorite farmer, George Corman, here to talk to you about great ideas. We're also shouting out Seattle University, Oak Park, Goleta, Union school districts for having synthetic-free, pesticide-free school environments. So we're really excited about that. We have some ideas to share with you. So thank you so much for being here. We'll start with Judith.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Okay, hello and welcome. I am Judith, and I'm on the youth board at CleanEarthForKids.org. At Clean Earth for Kids, we have 6 teams. Team 1, we focus on climate action, renewable energy, and sustainability. In Team 2, we focus on public lands, wildlife, parks, planting trees, and gardens. And in Team 3, we focus on clean air because kids breathe here. In Team 4, we focus on protecting water because water is life. In Team 5, we focus on stopping toxic pesticides and chemicals. And lastly, in Team 6, we focus on zero waste and reducing plastic. Overall, in Clean Earth for Kids, racial, climate, and environmental justice are vital to everything we do. I am on Team 1, and we focus on climate action plans, renewable energy, and sustainability. Now I will talk about our action plan. You can see our action plan on our website, cleanearthforkids.org. Anna, can you please share the link in the chat, please? Our action plan goals protect communities and our future. We work to help cities set and pass climate action plans with 100% renewable energy goals. This is important because we need to stop burning fossil fuels that pollute our air, our water, and cause greenhouse gases. By stopping fossil fuels, we can meet our climate and environmental goals. Tonight, we are sharing important information about steps and actions you can take to stop pesticides at your school district, university, or city. You can join us to take action on a state and federal level. We look forward to working with you. We can work together for change and and support school districts, cities, and others with ideas, strategies, and practical solutions. We have resources on our website and are connected to experts. We must protect public health and the environment. We welcome students to earn community service by taking notes, creating infographics, art, music, video clips, poetry about what you learned. You can take notes on our YouTube channel where we have over 50 panel discussions, and more information will be on our website, cleanearthforkids.org. We also welcome college students or adults to fill out an application to intern or volunteer with us. Anna, can you please share a link to our website about internships, volunteering, and community service opportunities? Okay, so we also have many contests and challenges. If you go to our contest page at cleanearthforkids.org, you'll see a variety of contests like art, writing, poetry, dance, STEM projects, infographics, presentations, and many more. Yeah, Anna, can you please share the link to our contest page on cleanearthforkids.org? Today's calendar contest is a way to show your art, music, videos, research reports, and much more. So you could teach us about what important things happened on that day. We are excited to hear from you. And some examples of what's happening in July next month is World Reef Awareness Day, World Bicycle Day, World Oceans Day, National Children's Day, and World Rainforest Day. If you do send something in, make sure you fill out a waiver, which can be found on our website, and Anna can drop in the link. In the chat. In addition to this, Abby will be undertaking a project where she makes videos highlighting each of the special days. So if you have an interest in the topic, for example, if you bike to work every day and want to talk about it for National Bike Day, she would make she would help make a video highlighting the importance of that. So if any of these days speak to you, please email her with what day, and she will reach back out to you with a plan for the video. Now I will talk about the These Are the Hands contest. Yeah, the These Are the Hands contest is a contest open to everyone of all ages. We hope you will join us in making a drawing and decorating a hand to recognize, honor, and lift up people working for change and to make life better for others. Everyone is encouraged to participate and honor someone making a positive difference in your school, community, city, state, or in our world. You can draw and decorate a picture of a hand, add symbols, words, and pictures to honor their work. Next, I will talk about our Protect What You Love contest. You can protect what you love by sending us your picture or drawing of what you love and why we should protect it. We can work together to protect our forests, national parks, and wildlife, clean water, clean air, oceans, rivers, streams, and our health. We can work together to stop pesticides, pollution, plastics, and destruction of our public lands. I'd like to share a petition you can sign up for. This petition asks the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to relist gray wolves to the Endangered Species Act. Idaho passed a law to destroy up to 90% of their wolf population around 1500 and allow hunters and trappers to destroy an unlimited numbers of wolves. Wisconsin and Montana have similar plans. This Trump administration removed gray wolves from the endangered species list on January 2021 after more than 45 years, despite protests. So wolves help keep ecosystems balanced overall. Anna, can you please share the link of the petition and also the information? So in Team 4 are water, because water is life. Students have the opportunity to do research and share why we should work to protect what we love. Students can work in teams, partners, or independently. Picture it and our nature journal contests and activities. You can take a picture or draw or write about your favorite animal or place and why we should protect it. We can post on our website and social media to bring awareness and work to protect nature and our environment. You can also post the pictures you see in nature. We call this contest and activity Picture It. This is an important part of community science or citizen science. You're welcome to visit our YouTube to see our interview with the city of Encinitas, where Michael and Abby share ideas to save pollinators and plant trees. And also you can see board member Jay's video on monarchs and community science on YouTube. You can also do nature journal and sketch, identify, and record what you see in nature. Nature journals are a lot of fun, especially for those who like to draw or research. Our board member, Jay, still has the nature journal he made years ago, where he went on a trip to Australia. People can make their own planners and add special days from the calendar. Thank you, and here is Darren.
Thank you. So here I'm going to talk about car exhaust and why it's bad for and toxic for us. So air pollution and car exhaust, it comes from idling and other sources, but today we're going to focus a little bit more on idling, and it is very hazardous because it's really harmful for people and it affects our airways, and this is especially true towards areas where children are around. And just to give some information, asthma is the #1 reason why kids miss school, and also the third leading reason why kids under 15 are hospitalized. And worldwide, air pollution is also one of the leading causes of death and should be taken very, very seriously. So we have an action to help combat this, and it's called the No Idling Contest for K-12 students. And you can help leave a legacy by helping us let K-12 students know that we are welcome to enter our no idling sign contest and draw or use the computer to make no idling signs to remind people to turn off their engines when they are parked. And it is the job of the school districts to create and pass policies that protect the children's health. And so we should have these no idling signs posted at schools. So no idling signs should also be in parks in your cities and buildings as a reminder. And it helps us reduce air pollution and greenhouse gases, which both cause climate change. And if you would like to work with us to make no idling signs and no idling policy in the climate active cities, please let us know. And you can go to our Clean Earth for Kids website to see Team 3 under Team 3, which shows the no idling page for ideas and the resource packet for schools and businesses. So we also want to let you know that besides working on passing and getting no idling signs at schools, universities, parks, and in front of city buildings, we're adding the no idling policy to CAP, which stands for the Climate Action Plan. Team 3 also supports clean air initiatives, including zero emission vehicles for cars, trucks, and fleets, safe routes to school to allow students to safely walk or bike to school, and also school districts that establish drop-off points where students are escorted to school. Air pollution educational campaigns should include wood and charcoal pollution harms, or they shouldn't include or they should talk about the wood and charcoal pollution harms, and we should also not forget about indoor air pollution. So here we're trying to support legislation to create buffer zones for oil and gas drilling, and also pesticide drift. And next we have Anna.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm an intern and filmmaker with Clean Earth for Kids, and I'm really excited to be talking with you today a little bit about the National Pesticide Conference. We attended the National Pesticide Conference and heard from doctors, professors, landscaping experts, all these wonderful, experienced people from all over the country. And we'll be sharing a little bit more of the information that we heard from them later in this panel. But for now, I'll be talking about the Healthy Schools Act. So a little bit of information about that. The California Healthy Schools Act was passed in 2000 and expanded in 2015. And it gives parents and staff the right to know about what pesticides are being used in public schools and child care centers. School districts and child care centers are required to establish an IPM plan and report the pesticide use annually to the California Department of Pesticide Regulation, or DPR. And they are in charge of running the Healthy Schools Act. So they must also post warning signs where pesticides are used at least 24 hours before and 72 hours afterwards. And unfortunately, the state did not pass a ban on glyphosate in public schools, but we're hoping to change that soon. So Judith, can you talk about some school districts that have stopped using pesticides?
Yes, thank you, Hannah. So here is a quick list of how you can find out what is being used by your city and school district. Number 1, get the list of what, where, and when pesticides are being used in your school or city. Number 2, for city, fill out a free public records request form on their website. Number 3, compare it to the PAN spreadsheet for banned pesticides. Number 4, look up active ingredients of pesticides used. And number 5, pick yourself off the floor, roll up your sleeves and get to work. There are great resources and we are happy to help. Also for a college campus program to help beautify and remove weeds, please check out a herbicide-free campus. Thank you. Now here's Anna.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to be talking a little bit about burden of proof, a term that you will be hearing throughout this panel. So in the United States, chemical companies don't have to prove that their products are safe. It's up to the regulators to prove that they're dangerous. So that means it took 50 years to ban lead in paint, which is still allowed in certain products. So a burden of proof needs to be on the manufacturers to prove it's safe. And that means that the EPA has to use good science. So right now they use industry funded studies and they only look at the active ingredients.
and they don't actually test the products that people are using. So these products aren't tested for safety, which means that legal doesn't always mean that it's safe. And a little bit more on the precautionary principle. So in the United States, we are not using the precautionary principle that is used in Europe. And essentially it means that if something has the potential for harm, it does not have the sufficient research or testing, and it should not be introduced into the market. So in the United States, we do the opposite. We assume things are safe until they are proven to show that people get cancer and other serious diseases and illnesses. And industries making the pesticides fund the studies, and those studies are allowed to be used in determining the safety of the product. So if you would like to meet with us to talk a little bit more about this, please let us know. We can share the pesticides being used in different cities and counties here in the United States. And we get this information by requesting public records, and we research the pesticides themselves. So then we look into the list of pesticides that are being banned in other countries and make that comparison. So a little bit more about the health risks associated with pesticides, the health and safety of the children, expectant mothers, and other people who are at higher risks, such as students, along with everyone else in the community, should be the #1 priority. So please help us do everything that we can to protect the health and safety of these people, the animals, and the environment. So if you're interested in getting involved or have some ideas, you may chat or connect with us at cleanearthforkids.org. So now I'll be talking a little bit more about the people from the National Pesticide Conference, one of them being Dr. Sarah Evans. She is an assistant professor within environmental medicine and public health at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. And she presented at the National Pesticide Conference and spoke with us about the health effects of toxic chemicals on children. And she shared with us how children are uniquely vulnerable to the effects of pesticide exposure. She said, in quotes, "Children are not just little adults. So not only does their unique physiology make them more susceptible to these issues, but other factors include that they're closer to the ground, more likely to place their hands on surfaces and then put the object in their mouths or put their hand in their mouths. They breathe faster and eat a less varied diet, along with they eat and drink more than their body weight." So all these issues and factors make it really important that we keep these pesticides away from children. And we already know that pesticides lead to chronic diseases such as asthma, diabetes, allergies, cancers, developmental disabilities, and the list goes on, which has increased over the past few decades and are especially impacting children. She also shared with us a little bit about pesticides and neurotoxicity, and how not only do we see changes in behavior, but as well as in the brain structure itself. So it disrupts communication, leading to behavioral and cognitive issues. But in one study, it found by Columbia researchers found that the prenatal, or before the baby is born, exposure to pesticides such as chlorpyrifos, it's associated with changes in brain structure in children. So something else she shared with us was this isn't only seen in the active ingredient. In some cases, the active ingredient makes up less than 1% of the pesticide. So synergists and mixers might have greater health impacts than the active ingredient itself. Caroline Cox, another presenter from the National Pesticide Forum, said that pesticides have too many secrets, which is totally true. Pesticide companies, like I was mentioning earlier, conduct the health and safety testing for the product themselves. So we're spraying our homes and schools with products that we don't really know what's in them. And some simple steps, looking on the brighter side a little bit, some simple steps to avoid pesticide exposure includes, other than just simply not using them, leaving your shoes at the door, washing your hands frequently, cleaning your home frequently, choosing organic food if you can, reduce exposure by using your power as a consumer is probably the most effective. So all these factors make it really important that we keep pesticides out of our homes and off our school campuses, parks, public lands, businesses, etc. So we will hear a little bit more from Seattle University. We have a guest here today to talk to us about what they're doing over there to keep a pesticide-free environment and keep their students, staff, and faculty safe from these toxic pesticides. So we'll hear a little bit more about that in a bit. Now I'll talk about some other schools that implement a non-toxic IPM plan. So first, we would like to award Oak Park District for their IPM policy. They received the nationwide U.S. Green Building Council and the Green Schools National Network in 2018 for the Best of Schools Green Award. And the school district has a pesticide-free policy that does not allow for the use of toxic pesticides unless an emergency situation exists. Here are some of their strategies that they are using on their campus. And we really just wanted to shout out the school district for leading the way and keeping the health a priority among their students and staff.
So we're really excited to have Shannon here and all of the important work that's happening at Seattle University. So we've got your slides, Shannon, and we can share these. And we'll try to keep up with you. And if you, we can go to the next slide or whenever you would like. And please take all the time that you need. We're really excited that you're here and super excited to hear all that you have to say. We're excited to learn from you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that great introduction. And thank you, Anna and Judith. And I think it was Darren, is that correct? Really, really interesting information that you're bringing forward. It's great to hear what's happening currently out there on the forefront of studying pesticides and what's happening, and where pesticides aren't happening is also really great to hear. So yeah, so Seattle University has been on the forefront in our region of being pesticide free for a very long time. As you can see, it's very important to us, not only the grounds department, landscaping and grounds, but also the university and the students. The students at the university are really active in the initiative of being pesticide free, remaining pesticide free, and oftentimes decide on enrolling with Seattle University because we are pesticide free. And we have a beautiful over 100-year-old campus. So it's a little plug in there. Anyway, so continuing that commitment to stewarding an environmentally friendly campus is important to the students, and we get them involved every way that we can. Our campus functions as a urban wildlife sanctuary for all of our community, as well as on campus and off campus. People come to campus from the neighborhoods to enjoy the sanctuary that is there in a very intensely urbanized setting. We're right in the middle of Capitol Hill, Seattle, which is an extremely fast growing part of the city, and are surrounded by a real rich, diverse culture of both high rises and neighborhoods with houses and apartments, a business district, a parks district. There's a little bit of everything there, arts district. It's really quite amazing space to be working within. We also serve as a safe and inviting space for our faculty and staff and students, and invite them every chance we get to come outside and enjoy campus. So integrated pest management was adopted on the university campus in 1979, and then became totally pesticide free in 1986. Followed by a sustainable landscape management plan put in documented and put in place in 2009. So, and then in 2017, we were able to receive Tree Campus USA Higher Education designation, which wasn't very difficult to do because we were already doing so much of what's required to apply for that. The biggest piece was really to put in place is the student service learning programs for that, which I was really happy to do. One more reason to get students involved. And then, so here's a look at, some of the ways that we design and maintain and implement weed suppression or different things that we can do to continue to be pesticide free. So design is really important. That photo there shows a foreground of lawn and a background of trees and shrubs. The intention of that picture is showing that you have shrubs, ground cover, and trees right up to the edges of the lawn, so that all of the ground is covered by something, which is creates habitat, creates shade, holds in moisture, really begins that important process of soil building for healthy, organic, sustainable habitat for all living organisms. That's really important to us in grounds, is the web of life, from below to where we walk to above. And then taking a look at the slide for maintenance, that is showing in the foreground there's some empty space. There is a number of places like that on campus. It's hard to keep vegetation growing there for a number of different reasons. There's a very large tree in that space, and oftentimes ground covers and shrubs don't like growing under those big trees. So in that case, we will use things like leaf mulch or arborist tree chips. We're always knocking on the doors of all of the arborists in our area. Bring your chips, drop them off in our space. We have a parking lot space that we adopted as we call it our bulk area. And we can hold up to 100 yards of arborist tree chips there that we just keep. They just come and dump them, and then we can use them in our landscapes. It's a great way to reintroduce that organic product, that carbon source for soil building and habitat for all sorts of organisms. So that's is shown there. And again, in the next slide, the picture there, the weed suppression, that's actually a leaf mulch in that bed. A newly landscaped bed. Until things grow in, we're using the leaf mulch there, which actually comes from the trees. So we leave the leaves that drop in the fall in the beds and treat them as a mulch and a way to help hold in moisture, create habitat for organisms, and things like that. So go ahead to the next slide. So here's, this is demonstrating some of our spaces in some of the challenges that we have and how we mitigate for that. So the reed canary grass photo is actually a very large rain garden that was put in with the addition of the library that happened back in 2010. And reed canary grass moved in. It was an optimal location for that, and that's a highly invasive grass. It's not a terrible grass. It just takes over and you don't necessarily want it where it wants to take over. So one of the things that our gardeners did was to just they used line trimmers, hedge trimmers, pruners, cutters to cut everything down to the ground, including that reed canary grass, and then put in a really heavy mulch, like I think cardboard and 6 inches of the arborist chips to suppress out that invasive vegetation that we didn't want to do. One of the reasons for that approach was that we didn't want to dig it all up. We wanted to build on ecosystem rather than dig up and disturb. So kind of adopting a little bit of permaculture, a little bit of hugelculture type methods and approaches to less disturbance, more amending what's there and helping it grow. And so far it's done really well. We have had some return, but not a lot, so it's easy to pull by hand or clip it down by hand and then do some remulching. The habitat photo there, that was a very large sweet gum tree that the canopy had gotten so large that it just split right in half and just fell onto the landscape there. Instead of removing all of it, our team went in after our tree company came in and helped us remove most of the debris that had fallen there. But we asked them to leave us the logs and the large tree limbs so that we could put that back in the landscape as habitat. And what you see there is what we call a snag, or a tree trunk that we left. That is actually probably about 8 to 10 feet tall. We asked them to leave that for habitat, and they actually notched the top of it to begin the process of decomposing and creating a space, the tight nooks and crannies where insects like to live, and they can begin more quickly the breakdown of that tree trunk. So the woodpeckers will come in, the insects will come in, the caterpillars, the butterflies, birds, things like that love that kind of space. And then the logs are sort of strewn about below there. Eventually, the vegetation that is there, both native and ornamental, will grow up around, and you won't see those logs anymore. They just kind of disappear into the landscape like they might in a forest. So we're sort of mimicking that habitat there. The other restoration photo was another issue where some trees that were on that slope. It's a really steep, really compact slope, and the trees just were not getting the nourishment that they needed. They were quite large cypress trees, and they were dying off one by one. And we were down to the last two. So we had our tree company take them down for us, and we restored that slope. Our team came in and used the logs from that tree as a erosion control to help restore the natural process of how it might have been in the forest. If those trees had been left, they would have fallen apart on their own and probably have created some way for that slope to stabilize. So we just helped that along by putting those logs on the slope, anchoring them in place with some rebar, and then replanting that slope. Today, it has, let's see, that was, we did that last year during the pandemic, actually. I don't know if you can see, but they're working with masks on in that photo. So a year later, the new planting is actually grown up enough that you can barely see those logs in that slope. And so right now it's still working, and we keep an eye on it to help it stay in place. So it's really important to build relationships and partners to help us with our initiatives for being pesticide free, drawing campus community outdoors into the outdoor classroom that's around us every day, and really inviting students and faculty and staff to engage with our landscape and our gardens and our wildlife habitat in that way. So we really work with our own staff in professional development and collaborative learning, inviting our gardeners to participate with students and with faculty. So we offer, as you can see here, we offer a number of internships. That's just a small sampling. Part of my motto is, if whatever a student is looking for, we'll make an internship out of that for them. So get them outside any way I can. Engaging with the habitat and the environment so that they can begin to learn about the importance of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the impact that it has on healthy lives, healthy environment, and healthy lives. And really working with the young people, the young adults, to really embody that and learn it to such a degree that then they could take that into their lives and into their future. So that's really important to us. And sorry, that chat window keeps blocking my view. So student participation is very important, and there's a few ways demonstrated there in the impact line. So, and we'll do different things. We'll work with our concessionaires. We did one of our student interns wanted to do a farmer's market with our concessionaires this past spring. That was hugely successful, and a great opportunity to talk about organically maintained landscapes and gardens, and sustainable methods and practices, integrated pest management, pesticide free. It was really, really well received, very popular. We'll probably do that again. So we're always looking for new ways, and students really help us do that. They come in with bright minds and innovative ideas, and our role, our position is that let's help them do that. And whatever that is, let's help them be creative and bring that to the forefront for the community. One of the things I'm really proud about, the native bee monitoring project, we just started that this past spring, and the students love participating in that with us. We're in our first couple of seasons, so we haven't gathered a lot of data yet, but again, it's all about drawing the students out, engaging in the landscape in different ways. And many students are very excited about engaging with learning about native bees. And one of the things that I hear the most is they had no idea there was such a thing as native bees. So learning about how to identify them, where do they travel, what plants do they like, and learning how to actually, take photographs and do counts and describe what they are and be able to identify them. So that's a very exciting project. It's actually starting to get some traction. I've got faculty reaching out to me now. They want to have their fall classes get involved. So I'm really looking forward to that, for that to just keep going. And yeah, so there's a lot going on all the time, and I just want to keep it going, and hopefully, the community will just continue to respond. I think it will, and can just continue to find more and more partnerships and build relationships so that we can get the word out, how important it is to be pesticide free and sustainable.
That's remarkable. Love the work that you're doing over there. That's amazing. So many fantastic things going on. Wow, so many projects. I'm sure you feel really, really proud of yourself, what you're doing, and the students as well. That's just really, really awesome. So thank you. Puts a smile on all of our faces. George is going to speak in a little bit. He's all about the trees. All of us are all about the trees, right? And the native bee monitoring projects and all these great opportunities and gardens and all these things. So thank you so much. You're so inspirational. I wanted to ask, when I was listening to you speak at a panel from Herbicide Free Campus, which we absolutely support. We actually support them monthly, but we support them absolutely. Love what they're doing. You had talked about one of the tricks that you use about weeds and where, what you focus on. Can you share that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah, one of the questions that comes up often for maintenance managers and staff is, how do we go pesticide free? Aren't there going to be weeds everywhere? And, how do we do that? So yes, it is true. It does require more physical labor, hand pulling, to, have the appearance of weed free. And what I mean by that is we don't have the intention of being weed free everywhere. It's just not possible, and it's not reasonable, in combination with having a healthy urban wildlife and habitat. So what we focus on, what we discovered as we were walking around campus thinking about this is, okay, what do people see the most? Just let's imagine you're walking down one of our walkways going to class, or you're walking down one of our walkways going to a meeting. What do people see? So what I started imagining was my peripheral vision. So what am I going to see from my peripheral vision? And that's what we're going to focus on. So that translates to the fronts of beds, the fronts of our landscape beds, our garden beds, our shrub beds, whatever you want to call them. And roughly from wherever the edge is, whether it's a curb edge, a sidewalk edge, or a lawn edge, from wherever that edge is up to the beginning of the shrubs, or roughly about 3 feet in, that's where we intentionally put our focus to keep the weeds at bay, to go through, hand pull, or use a pitchfork, do some digging if they've got deep tap roots, and then make sure to lay down some mulch afterwards. That will really create the appearance that the university and the community might be looking for, satisfied by, consider a kept, maintained landscape. And then everything that's behind that sort of just falls away, is less visible, is less focused on because the eye is drawn to that clean front edge. So when commencement time is coming up, or start of school is coming up, or a special event is coming up, and we're out cleaning up campus, getting ready for that, those are the things that we focus on. We don't worry so much about the back edges. And also intentionally, we don't worry about the back edges as much because there's so much rich wildlife habitat, organism habitat, soil building habitat going on there. We don't want to disturb that if we can get away with it.
That's so smart. I remember listening to you speak and hearing some other landscape professionals talk about what great strategies that you have, and everybody was just really impressed with you and all of the important work that you're doing over there. And we're excited to have you tonight and to stay in great contact and continue to shout you out. Mm-hmm. We have Seattle University IPM on our website on Team 5 Clean Earth for Kids. Someone can put that in the chat. So very important. So thank you so very much for being here. Mm-hmm. We have an award for you that we'll be sending to you. Mm-hmm. Thank you again so much. And we love to stay in contact and have you as a guest. Mm-hmm. I know that people here and others have great questions and all of that great stuff. So what we'll do now is, Darren, if you could share for us just a few facts about the pesticides being banned in other countries, that would be great. And then Anna can introduce George.
Hello. So yes, the one thing that we kind of touched on from the last panel was that the US only bans 15 pesticides. And you might not think of that number like very big or very small, but when you compare that to other countries like China, which has banned 51, and the UK, which has banned a total of 175 pesticides, then you start to realize that the US needs to kind of follow through. And so the US uses over 1 billion pounds of pesticides every year. And so this is very concerning because they have negative impacts on our health, especially in cases when used in schools, fields, and areas where people are nearby. And because of the health impacts and the risks that pesticides bring from pesticide drift, we don't advocate for pesticide use, especially in areas where people live. And so Clean Earth for Kids has resources to track what chemicals are banned in specific countries in the Team 5 Stop Toxic Chemicals and Pesticides page. And pesticides are also a racial, social, climate, and environmental issue because a majority of our farm workers and people who apply and get exposed to pesticides are people of color. And I believe that's all I have to say.
Yes, thank you so much. So now we will hear from our friend, farmer, and permaculture expert, George. If you could speak a little bit about what it is you do, we're so excited to hear from you.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Great introduction. I hope you can hear me. Yes, this picture is already exactly what my first slide should be. It's about avoiding monocultures in any landscape, if it's a school yard, your own private yard, or any commercial or even farmland should not be a monoculture. It's so important to create, like Shannon said, and I'm 100% behind Shannon and their IPM. What they're doing in Seattle University is amazing. For 30 years now, they're so much more advanced, probably more advanced than even the Europeans. But it's very important to avoid monocultures because if there's a disease, of course, that's easy to think about. If you have a disease in a monoculture, it spreads like crazy because it thinks, oh, there's the next plant, the same. So I hop there. Oh, there's the next plant, there's more. So any aphid or any fungus, especially fungus diseases, they spread like no way, so fast. So if you plant a polyculture, then this would pretty much avoid it. Or you can even plant groups of plants and then have a barrier planting in between, which is different, like a marigold or something, or a stinky salvia or something which has like a rosemary or something which has comes from a different plant family, and the pest will not go on this plant and stop there. That's the way to do it. Then, of course, what Shannon said too is all the soil needs to be covered. You see so many landscapes where the gardeners here, and I see it here in Oceanside, I live here in Oceanside, California, where gardeners rake everything away that is a common practice, all the debris and leaves, and leave the soil bare, because they want to show that they did the job and they get their check and the property owner is happy. That's the worst thing you can do to get diseases on your plants. So what Shannon and Washington University in Seattle does is perfect. Mulching, keeping the leaves on the land is exactly what I would suggest, and keeping the soil covered so it's always moist and cool. All the plants like to have it moist and cool. And if you a big principle of permaculture is that we mimic the principles or the rules of nature. On this planet for billions of years, there was no human being, and plants took care of themselves. So all the plants live from their own dead body. Everything which drops down is the food for the plants and other plants. And then there's the microbiology involved in that, of course. So the soil fungus gonna decay those carbons, because leaves and branches there's carbon in there, and the soil fungus eats that. He gets bigger and bigger by eating that carbon. So he feeds it back to the plant. So that's very important to keep your soil always covered. Sheet mulching is a great way, of course, to keep weeds down. I just did that in San Diego in a garden. There was a front lawn, which was mainly crabgrass and all kinds of weeds in there. And I told the customer, I'm gonna not dig that up and turn it over or till it or something, because if you cut crabgrass, it grows right back. So what we did is do 2 layers of cardboard and then 5 inches of mulch on top, and that's 9 months now, and there's no more crabgrass, no in one spot, because we tucked it really in at the corners and edges and avoided it completely. Then of course no air blowers. I don't know if Seattle University and Washington University in Seattle use still air blowers. Air blowers blow up dust and especially mites into the plants. I stopped using. I do landscape maintenance on the side. I used blowers like 5 years ago, and I have 90% less diseases on those plants in those customer gardens. It's pretty amazing what you can achieve. Just skipping on the blower helps already a lot. Then, of course, like Shannon said, so what she said, all the trimmings of your plants. When you cut plants, leave it beneath the plant, mulch it, leave it on the property. Do not haul it away. You're burning so much fossil fuel to haul it to the recycling facility and pick up new mulch and bring it to the property. You don't need that. You can have a small little mulching facility, very tiny, like a few cubic yards big, and have amazing results with that by just recycling your own clippings and biomass onto the land again. So that's pretty much it. I mean, if you apply all that and do that, I would say you can avoid 90% of the pests versus a commercial or regular landscape, and the rest 10% you can use biological things. Like for fungus, you use potash. Mainly there are products sold commercially where it's potash in there, which treats fungus diseases. Or you can use neem oil. Neem oil is good against mealybugs and aphids. And BT, it's a natural bacteria which keeps caterpillars away from some plants, and so on. And of course, I really like what Shannon said, the wildlife. It's so important to, and I'm jumping back now a little bit, to have a design. So the main thing is you have a good design to give habits to wildlife, especially birds. I see it in my garden here. I converted that into a permaculture garden. If you have birds nesting in your garden, they take care of so many pests and too many insects and keep them under control. It's pretty amazing. So all that would make it obsolete to use any chemicals in any landscape, commercial, schoolyard, or parks, or private property, and agriculture as well. Okay, that's it for me, and I thank you for listening to me. Thank you. Have a good night.
Gosh, it's always so wonderful. We love when you're on, George. It's just so fabulous. It's always just so great. And thank you so much for being out there. I know we have so much to talk about with trees. We had a great conversation the other night. And I know Shannon was talking about being a tree university. So we're really excited to motivate everybody to plant these trees. And so we'll be looking forward to having you on very soon again. And Shannon, of course, always welcome to talk about trees and our next steps. So we're so excited, and thank you so much. We're about to close. I know that Anna has two petitions that she is going to share really quickly in the chat. I think you've got those to put in the chat, Anna.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So she's going to talk just real briefly about these two petitions about seeds and coated seeds. And just a quick thing to say, when we talk about neonics, right, that are harming the bees, it's a really big deal. We need to remember that it's so important to attend these state level meetings with CalDPR, California Department of Pesticide Regulation, and the environmental agencies of every state to talk about what are we going to do? We have to take some action. We cannot allow all of these. Darren just showed you the huge number of pesticides that are banned in other countries. And, in the case of China, I mean, they're probably thinking about, hey, we need to protect our food. We need to protect our water. And, China often, we worry about products from China, et cetera. But, they're banning more pesticides than we are and banning more chemicals also. We need to think about that. So important. So over to you, Anna.
Yes, thank you so much. Great introduction. So just to end on an action step you can take, and of course, there's always some more information on our website, but here, please ask the EPA to regulate pesticide coated seeds. So the EPA does not regulate pesticide coated seeds or track their use at all. And up to 95% of all corn seeds and much of soybean, cotton, wheat, and canola seeds in the United States are coated with a neonicotinoid, which coats the entire plant, the roots to the pollen, and is toxic to many insects, birds, and bees, especially the bees. So in California, butterfly numbers quickly started to fall when these neonics insecticides were started in 1995, and it's really important that we need to regulate these and cut back on that. So I will put that link in the chat along with some more information you can follow up on. And yeah.
And would you like to share this as well? So it's the second petition. We had 4. Judith shared one about the wolves. We have another one to keep it in the ground. Judith, if you want to put that in the chat, you can as well for people before they hop off. Anna, would you like to talk about this petition?
Yeah, I'll also put this in the chat. So please ask President Biden and your governor to stop pesticides and treated seeds that harm pollinators. So these pesticides like the neonics and so many more, organophosphates, insecticides, glyphosate, they are toxic, and we need to set a national strategy to eliminate these toxic pesticides and move to organic land management. So we need to protect the health, water, air, soil, ecosystems, wildlife, and pollinators, and help stop the decline of butterflies in Europe and bumblebees in the United States, which is linked to fertilizer and pesticide use. Extremely important, and I will put that information and petition link in the chat.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to say, I know you have a lot more to share about the National Pesticide Conference that was over 4 days and each time was 4 hours, but we enjoyed seeing Representative Jonah Goose from Colorado, who has put forward pesticide legislation, and we're really excited about that. He was one of the co-sponsors of PACTPA, Protecting America's Children from Toxic Pesticides. And so that act bans neonics, organophosphates, and paraquat. And paraquat, you know, is linked to Parkinson's, and there's the whole paraquat papers. One sip will kill you. Darren talked about that before. So really important. We need to just continue to push on our representatives, when we find people like Jonah Goose from Colorado, to definitely, you know, shout them out and say thank you. So we hope that he will be a guest. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not shout out our 2020 Clean Earth for Kids champion, Al Marisucci, who he wrote the bill and got it passed, 24 toxic ingredients that are out of makeup. So as you know, in the United States only bans 11 toxic chemicals in makeup and personal care products. California now has 24. When you look at the UK and EU, they're banning like 1,600. So it's really important that we get involved and make these calls and sit in on these state meetings. And we're so excited for people to give a hand. We have a zillion volunteer opportunities for people to do. And thank you so much to everybody for being here tonight. I will stay on the call. I know these guys will probably hop off. They can whenever they would like to. I'll be on the call. If anybody wants to become a panelist, then you can enter into the conversation. Everyone is welcome